Morning everyone, it's Audrey, Stitchywitch 42. It is Monday the 29th of March and I am here for a regular Flosstube update. See, I'm remembering to say the things that we're supposed to say. I've only been doing this 3.5 years. I can still learn. Yeah. So I have finishes, fully finished items. I have a global finish, but I'm going to make you wait for that one. I have progress on my projects. I have some purchases. Yeah. And I have some shout outs. And that's where I'm going to start today. When I originally came up with my shout outs, I had 2 ladies in mind that I wanted to talk about. And then it developed into 4. And that's okay, right? So, the first lady, she has done Flosstube videos before. She was... Sorry, that was my dishwasher. It's done washing the dishes. My first shout out is a lady who'd done Flosstube videos before. She was Bird Stitcher, Colorado. She has come back and she now is going under her own name, Betsy Klegar. And she is fun to watch. She does some beautiful stitching. She's mom to Hamilton the cat. And she's a Beatles fan. So am I. I grew up on the Beatles. I've told you that before. They were my introduction when I was very, very young to rock and roll music, and I love the Beatles all the time. So anyway, Betsy Klegar, go check her out. I know a lot of people have been shouting her out. I'm just adding to that. Go watch her. But on Betsy's video, on her last video, she directed me to watch someone who I have been watching. But she directed me to a specific video, which I had not seen. So I went to see Denise, Black Ribbon Stitch Studio, episode number 33. And Denise tells why she is not appreciative of samplers. And I respect her answer 100%. Go check her out. Again, if you haven't watched Denise before, she is a fantastic lady. Great sense of humor, beautiful stitches, but she gave a point of view that I had never considered before. And I'm going to go back and say something that Betsy had said in her video. As a white woman of European descent, I realize my view of the world is not everyone's view of the world. And I'm trying to learn to open my eyes and see more and be more respectful. From Denise, in her videos, video number 33, she directed me to watch Jacob, Modern Folk Embroidery. Again, I've watched him many times. His was episode, it was his 10th anniversary episode. And he talked about BIPOC, B-I-P-O-C, Black, Indigenous, People of Color. This is a term I'd never heard before. But again, he opened my eyes, and I think it's a journey that we all have to take to realize that there is more than just our own personal point of view, and be more open and understanding and willing to learn and be inclusive. So the 4th person that I want to shout out was mentioned by Betsy. Again, she has done Flosstube videos in the past. She took a 10-month hiatus. And I've mentioned her a couple of times here recently. And then Betsy mentioned her, so I contacted Betsy and I said, you know, maybe between the 2 of us, we can get her to come back. And she did. So Betsy and I are totally sharing the credit for bringing Kathy of To Die House back to Flosstube. Whether it's truthful or not, it's my story and I'm sticking to it. So anyway, check out all 4 of those people. I am going to list them below. I'm going to try to put links for Denise's and Jacob's videos in the drop-down box. And go watch. Learn new point of views. Be inclusive. Alrighty. So I have some fully finished items that I wanted to share with you. The last few videos I've been doing some small stitching because I want some things to use to decorate my sideboard. And in March, I showed you the 3 little finishes that I stitched. Well, it's still March. It's the 29th. The earlier part of March, I showed the 3 pieces that I had stitched over the 1st through the 4th. And one of them was a Primitive Hare piece. It's called Irish Blessings, and it's this one. I know that the lighting in my last video was totally blown out, so it was really hard to see. But it was this one by the Primitive Hare, and she showed it being stitched 2 different ways. You could either stitch the design, which is what I did, or you could stitch the background and leave the design as relief stitching. And Kathy, Into Dye House, showed that she had done both ways in her video. So obviously I had to do the same. Now, this one took maybe 3 hours to stitch. Doing the background stitching took me 5 days. It's not a big project. But when I was finished with it, one of the things that I realized in my last video is all my little pieces that I'd shown you were all similar size. And I decided that I wanted to try to do something different, something to make it a little bit bigger. And I wish I had written down the person's name who did this. They showed a pillow finish where the fabric was divided into quadrants. And we know I'm not a stitcher, or a sewer, a seamstress. We also know I can't use words properly, but you know, that's okay. Anyway, that idea appealed to me so much. So what I decided to do, and I finished this yesterday, was to do a flat mount. I'll just show it to you. This is the second version of Irish Blessings, where it is just the background being stitched. So the design is relief. That one's the stitched design. This one is the relief design. But I'm so tickled with myself because I got my corners to match. I was so pleased with myself. It's just so I was happy. And it's just a flat mount. I put sticky back felt on the back of it, and I propped it up against one of the McCoy hands that I have on my sideboard, but I just think this is so cute. So that was my first fully finished item. Now, my second fully finished item. I want to talk a little bit about this one. Like I don't talk about all of them. Right? I know I'm crazy. You know I'm crazy. You come for the crazy, so, and the cross stitch. It's together here, okay? All these patterns that I've been stitching for the last 2 months have been freebies. And I had shared this one. This was the one that I did on March 1st, that I stitched on March 1st. This is Scottish Thistle, Fern Abbey. Get the book out. Look at the book, Audrey. Yes, Fern Abbey Needleworks. Okay, this is a free pattern. When I printed my image of this pattern, I printed a crappy copy, and a friend of mine found it and sent me a better copy. She also sent me another pattern, and it didn't come with a color key. So I decided that I was going to stitch it using the same colors as this Scottish Thistle. And I got it finished, and then I thought to myself, I really want to make sure that it is a free pattern before I show it on my videos. So I did what I do. I do a Google search, I type in Scottish Thistle free cross-stitch patterns, and I get that main page, and then I go to images, and I had to scroll through and go down this rabbit hole and go down that rabbit hole and go down all these different rabbit holes before I finally found the image of that pattern. And it's not a free pattern. It's from an Etsy shop. So since I had stitched it and I planned on showing it on my videos, and even if I wasn't planning on showing it on my videos, I went to the Etsy site and I purchased it. 97 cents. But to me, that's the right thing to do because I don't want to infringe on somebody's copyright. The problem is that the image that I found, while it links you to the Etsy site, is the pattern itself. And so I can see how somebody took a picture of that and posted it, and eventually it got to where my friend saw it and sent it to me, and so on and so forth. So if you're going to stitch free patterns, take a moment and make sure that they actually are free. If they're not free patterns, purchase them. This one was only 97 cents, and the Etsy shop is called Mumma Doom, M-U-M-M-A-D-O-O-M. Like I said, it's only 97 cents. But this one, the Scottish Thistle, I want to make a bouquet of thistles to go in my flower frog, like I did with the Halloween pieces. I'm totally fascinated with that idea, and I want to do so many things with them. So I thought, I'm going to do a bouquet of thistles. This one is 39 stitches wide, and I thought that was a good size because it's about the same size as the skeleton that I showed the first time. Well, this second pattern, which is also Scottish Thistle, was 71 stitches wide, which meant that it would have been twice as wide as this if I stitched it 2 over 2. So I decided to do something that I don't do very often, and I decided to stitch it on 1 over 1. And I went upstairs looking for some fabric, and I have this green linen. It just says tropical green. It doesn't say who made it. But it's one of those linens that was so stiff that it could stand by itself. The good thing about it is, being that it was a 28 count, very, very stiff linen, it made it so much easier to stitch 1 over 1. And so this is my finish on the other Scottish Thistle, the one that I purchased from Mumma Doom. And this will be part of my thistle bouquet to go in my flower frog. Now, as you can see, neither one of these have the stake underneath them. If you go to your grocery store, you can buy a package of bamboo barbecue skewers. There's 100 pieces in here, a couple bucks. I don't know, I've had these around for a while because we use them for various things. I gave them to Mark and I asked him to paint them for me. So he painted 3 of them for me, black. It's nice having this blue background behind me. I can show things. But they have a point on one end. And he basically taped these onto a tube like this and spray painted them. So it's nice, it leaves the sharp point unpainted. And all I do is I take this and I find the center of the design and I put it into the foam core because I have it mounted on foam core with 2 pieces of mat board for the background colors, but it just pops right into there. It's nice and tight, and it'll stay there, and I have no intention of taking it off the skewer. Same thing with this one, just line up the center, push it in, and now both of these are ready to go into my flower frog. So I had a lot of people when I showed that first finish with all the Halloween pieces that they wanted to copy that idea. By all means, I copied what was on the front of the pattern itself. So that was my second fully finished. My third fully finished item, I'm going to share later on in the video, because I'm that way. Yes. Yes, I'm that way. I'm going to show you some of the things that I've been working on these last 2 weeks. These last 2 weeks have been hard for me. I've been putting in extra hours at the store because my work wife, who is the lead bookkeeper, she went on vacation, and our third bookkeeper got promoted. So I had to pick up some extra days. And normally that would not be a bad thing, but I have arthritis in my feet and my ankles, and I'm overweight. And sometimes running around the store makes my feet and my ankles hurt really, really bad. To the point that there are times that I sit in my car and cry when I leave the store. Arthritis isn't fun. Anybody who lives with pain, any kind of pain, knows pain is not fun. So yes, I got some stitching done, but it was honestly not until this last weekend that I got the majority of it in. So the first one that I want to start with is my afghan. This is Stoney Creek Halloween Village afghan. I had posted a picture on Instagram, and I can't remember who it was who said that they just love watching me stitch this and was waiting for me to update it again. So I put some time in simply because of that comment, because I know somebody wants to see this. This is on a 1.5 yard cut of 20 count Lugana, ash gray Lugana. And you can see there, that is what I've been working on, the lower section on the right. That is not all of page 10. Page 10 continues down here too, but I thought that I would work on this section right here, get it done, then I can move back across, and this is where the banner that says Halloween will be. I don't know if I have enough space where I'm sitting at to show the whole thing, but there's the left side, the top center where I started, and the right side of it. This is a 30-page project. Each page is 89 by 90 stitches. Not all of them are full coverage. The ones that are going to be closer to full coverage are down towards the bottom. So that's my progress on my Halloween Village afghan. I am using the hashtags for that, SC Halloween Village and SC Christmas Village, because Julie and Alyssa from Stitching at the Cabin, who are supposed to be stitching along with me, they're both doing the Christmas Village version of the afghan. And the other hashtag that I use is hashtag voluptuous stitches, because I am using 4 strands of DMC on 20 count Lugana 4/2. And that voluptuous stitching came from Lisa, Kindred Stitcher. Alright, the next piece that I have been working on, and I actually took it off my Q-snaps yesterday and ironed it. Oh my gosh. and put it on the board so that I could show you, because we know I don't do that. But I thought I could be prepared for a video. What a novel concept. Plum Street Samplers, Harvest Keeper. I started this in 2019 as part of the hashtag Bees Please Sal that was started by Donna Ray, Flannel Jammie Farms, Glenn, Southern Stitcher, and Linda of Blue Horse Yellow Cow. These are the flosses that I'm using. They're all DMC colors. And I made my own little thread drops. I used scrapbooking paper. Note to self, when making thread drops, use the heavier scrapbooking paper, not the thin stuff. The thin stuff tears. Live and learn, right? So this is my progress on Harvest Keeper. I started this in 2019, 2020, and I am loving the way that this looks. So when I was talking about calling our stitch pieces treasures, whether we finish them or not, they're treasures, a lady had replied to my comment that the Amish people always leave mistakes in their work because we're human and we're not gods. So therefore, we're going to make mistakes. This one is starting to be full of mistakes, and there's simple little things that I'm going to leave because not a one of them is going to affect the way that the overall piece looks. So I'm not going to point them out to you. They're there. I know they're there. But this is still a beautiful piece. And honestly, the main reason I took it off the Q-snap and ironed it is because I wanted to see what I had done. Yeah. It's all about me. It's my stitching, right? Okay. Another piece that I have finished the stitching on. This one was one of the free patterns that I started. This one, in order to get it, you actually have to go to their site and subscribe. They give you a password, and then you can go into their files and go through all the wonderful patterns that they have and download any or all of them that you want. It is uglyducklinghouse.com, and it's the Mardi Gras mask. So, their finish is on a hoop. I have a completely different idea in mind. I haven't gotten to it yet. Mark is going to help me with it because I know I'm going to need help. But I finished everything that I'm going to be stitching on this piece. And this is my Mardi Gras mask. So if you look at it, you will see that there are empty spaces in the stitching. On the pattern, where those empty spaces are, there's black stitching. I decided it's a Mardi Gras mask. It needs some bling. So I went to Acorns and Threads and I purchased Mill Hill Petite Glass Beads. The colorway is 40374. It is a black iridescent coloring. And I'm going, where the black stitches were supposed to be, I'm going to fill them in with these beads to give it some bling. And then I'm going to sit down and try to make my vision of how this piece should be finished become a reality. And if it works, it's going to be fantastic. And if it doesn't, it's going to be, oh, well, I tried. Because I've learned from watching all the people who do finishing tutorials that, yeah, fix the bangs. that it's okay to explore and come up with ideas. Lisa, Kindred Stitcher, showed a picture on, I think it was on Instagram the other day, of her stitching spot. And that has inspired me to do something for my stitching spot, but it still has to come together. All right, the last thing that I have been working on is in a Lisa Smith bag. This is a Mill Hill pattern of a Jim Shore design. This is Harvest Trio. I am stitching it on the called for banding with all the called for colors. And that is where I'm at with it. Now, if you see this time, I am stitching in the well. I have got the flat of my fabric on the back side of the Q-snaps. When I started stitching this, I actually had the top on the top of the Q-snaps. But remember I talked about having arthritis? Well, it's developing in my hands too, especially right here in this hand. And when I was stitching this side of it, when I had this fabric on top of my Q-snap, my hand stitching, I kept hitting right there. And that hurt. Arthritis sucks. So I pulled my Q-snap apart. I put the fabric on the bottom and it helped. It's a simple thing. So you can stitch on top of your Q-snaps or you can stitch in the well. It works either way, whatever works for you. But I think that this is a gorgeous pattern. I've gotten all the gold stitches done. I've been filling in with the darker orange stitches. So this is the fourth thing that I have been working on. Alrighty. So I've made some purchases. I was talking about the free patterns and specifically the little Scottish Thistle one that turned out not to be a free pattern. If you're going to be looking for the free patterns, please make sure that they actually are. They'll say it on the pattern itself. So I was thinking, what do I want to do for April? Because while I've got my big projects that I want to work on, I also want to continue working on some small projects. And I did some hearts for February. I did some shamrocks for March. And then I thought, well, what can I do for April? And I realized there is a lot of people out there who are stitching Easter. Easter's not my thing. Never has been. I'm not into the pastel-y colors. I think they look fantastic in the garden. So I thought, what can I do to continue stitching some small pieces? And I thought, Celtic. I like Celtic. I've stitched other Celtic pieces in the past. I have a beautiful Celtic knot that I've stitched upstairs. It's a pillow on my chair in the library. And I love listening to Celtic music. It's one of my favorite musics. There's a couple of stations on Pandora that I love to listen to. I love watching Outlander. I love reading all the Outlander books and anything like that. And if you like Outlander and if you have stars, go check out Men in Kilts with Sam and Graham. Sam is Jammie and Graham was his uncle, the Mackenzie, the war chief. It's good. It's good. So anyway, I decided that I was going to see if I could find some free Celtic designs. Instead, I ended up on Etsy and I purchased 4 of them. The first one is by Cladded Cross Stitch at yahoo.com. Remember, that was where I found, which one? I don't remember which one. It was in one of my previous videos. But I found this lovely little piece. This is a Celtic Lavender Cross. This is only 39 stitches by 39 stitches, so this can make a lovely little piece to go along in my bouquet with these. Then I found some more Scottish thistles. This is a Scottish Thistle Trio. Local Craft Designs. This is 87 by 88 stitches. And I think that that's gorgeous. Then I found one from Mila Cross Stitch. And this one is a Biscorno. And this isn't the pattern, but you could stitch this in any color you want. And I've stitched a couple of Biscornos, so I thought all three of those would make for some fun things to maybe get started in April and see what's happening. But then I found one more. Like I said, I purchased all of those off of Etsy. And I was going through all the different Celtic designs and the thistles and the this and the that. And I kept adding things to my cart because I keep telling myself I can always save them for later, right? We do that, yeah? And I popped up on this one design and literally drew in my breath and was just like, yeah, I could do that. Now, the thing of it is, it might actually classify as, are you sitting down? Finish swallowing your drink. Finish chewing your food if you're eating, because I don't want anybody to choke or spit out their Pepsi. This one might actually qualify as a sampler. Me? A sampler? The image that printed up is grayscale. It does not show the beauty of it. The image that I saw on Etsy was stunning. The reason why I say it may qualify as a sampler, it doesn't have an alphabet, but it does. It has Scottish runes on it. Has this huge thistle design in the center of it. There's Celtic knots down at the top and the bottom, and then underneath, and it's really hard to see, and I apologize for that, there are Celtic runes underneath this row of Celtic knots. This one is a big puppy. It is 175 by 175. So I went and I purchased a white Belfast linen 32 count. I'm going to use the called for DMC colors, but it's going to be 13 inches big. So I have a huge chunk of fabric there to stitch this on. And while I hadn't thought that I was going to do a birthday start, April is my birth month. I'm going to be 62 for real this coming April. Last year I kind of skipped a year and I thought I was 62 last year, but this year I actually will be 62. So, 4 patterns that I purchased. I also purchased some fabric from my friend Becca, Sambry Stitches. She decided that she only wants to stitch on 18 count Adas. And, oh, looking at, yeah. Are we still recording? Yeah. Okay, my camera cut off. I don't know where it cut off, for sure. I purchased some fabrics from my friend Becca because she decided that she only wants to stitch on 18 count Adas, and I like stitching on Ada. I like stitching on anything. It all depends on the project. So I purchased some pieces from her, and I got a 16 count Haunted. I got a 16 count Spice. This is pretty. I got a 16 count Barnwood, which is gorgeous. I got a 16 count Legacy. And a 16 count Fossil, which is also gorgeous. And all of these are Picture This Plus fabrics, so they're the nice, soft, wonderful Adas to stitch on. Okay. Have I held off long enough? Made you wait to see my third final finish? Fully finish? I'm calling this one a global finish because if you remember from the Blackbird Designs book, Winds of Autumn, I decided that I was going to stitch October 31. In the book, it's finished as a drum, but they used their own Blackbird Design linen for the sides of it, and I decided to borrow the border from the next pattern in the book. This is Nebraska Prairie, and stitch this border on a piece to be used for the sides of the drum. So I got those stitched, and then I went down to the local variety store. And at the local variety store, I was looking for some fat quarters. I wanted to find the perfect piece to finish this one. In the fat quarters, I found a black checked fabric, and I thought, that would be perfect. It's very classic, and Blackbird Design is always classic. And then I saw one that had autumnal words on it, and I thought, well, it's October 31st, and October 31st is technically a harvest festival, and these autumnal words are talking about blessings and harvest, and that would work. There were two ladies up at the cutting counter, and they were having several fabrics cut, so I spent some more time wandering around looking at the fabrics, and then I found this blue stripe fabric. And I thought, oh, that one would really work because it would bring out the blue. I stitched this piece on 32 count BeStitchMe Toast, and I stitched it with DMC 939, that wonderful dark navy blue. And that blue stripe fabric would pull out that blue. And those two ladies still weren't done, so I got in line and I waited. And while I'm standing there, I looked to the left and I saw a fourth fabric. So I took all my stuff and I laid it out across the top of these bolts of fabric, and I'd taken the side piece with me to the store, and I laid it out across this one, and I was like, oh yeah, that one would work too. So it's my turn. I get up. I had the lady cut pieces from the last two fabrics for me because they were both on the bolts. I came home. I ironed my side piece again because it kind of gotten squished a little bit in the baggie that I took it to the store with. And then I looked at all four fabrics and I could not figure out which one to use. So I reached out to all of you. And I'm going to share with you some of the responses that I got, because I reached out to you on Instagram and I reached out to you on YouTube. And on Instagram, I get Lorelei 13, checked. She likes the checked fabric. You do realize this is just going to make it harder, right? Truer words were not spoken. Then I get Janet Stitcher. I'm a Rocky Horror fan, so anytime I hear the name Janet, I always want to go, damn it, Janet, it's just a jump to the left. She goes, number 2 or number 3. Damn it, Janet, you're just supposed to choose one. Vicky, Stitch and Button, the brown, the script. Daleen Wilson, the script. Susan Sullivan, the checked. Olivia, Pumpkin Hollow Quilts, the script. And it goes on and on and on. Then I came over and I looked at the comments that I was getting from my little 2-minute long YouTube video. And I was still getting replies yesterday. They're all great, but I like number 2 the best, from Jane. Denise at Black Ribbon Stitch Studio, I vote for the brown. It's perfect. My friend, Lori, textilist, one of my bacon sisters, I choose number 2. Another option is to heavily coffee tea dye number 4. No, you're supposed to be making it easier for me, Lori. You're not supposed to make it more difficult. Michelle, Maine Moose Mom, I understand why you're having a problem. They all look great. I like the second one best. Or the stripe. I guess that's not much help. No, no, no. I have to find one answer that was, one comment that was given to me, because I just laughed like crazy. Betsy Klegar, said use number 1 or 2. If you use number 3 or 4, I'm not going to talk to you ever again. Okay. Then she came back and she goes, I have to apologize for that because people might think I'm snarky. I'm cool with snarky. I'm fluent in snark and sarcasm. Anyway, this went on all week long. You guys were all over the board. So I finally sat down yesterday morning before I finished my drum, and I took a piece of paper and I wrote checked, script, striped, and words, and I went through every single comment and did a tick mark. After the first 16 comments, the words only had 1 vote, and it only ever got a 2nd vote all week long. So the words, the autumnal words, was not chosen, but the other 3 were tied. And for the next several comments, they were tied until finally 1 started leading the pack. So here is my drum finish of Blackbird Designs, October 31st. This is my Drunken Martini bird. Remember, it decided to go up a couple of stitches. I don't drink martinis, I think they're disgusting. But this is the top of my drum on 32 count BeStitchMe Toast, which is beautiful fabric, with DMC 939. This is the side of the drum that I stitched using the border pattern from Nebraska Prairie, also a Blackbird design, and I think that those two just accentuate each other so well. What fabric won? The script. It looks beautiful with it. It matches the color of the toast. So this is my finish of Blackbird Designs, October 31. I added a little safety pin on here with some buttons that I had up there. There is the back, a little strained here and there, but it's mine. It's going to be my pin cushion next to my stitching spot. I love, 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 love how this turned out. And I want to thank everybody who helped decide what the bottom of this was going to be, because this was truly a global finish. I had answers from Australia, from Switzerland, from England, from Scotland, from provinces in Canada, all over the United States. Thank you all for helping me choose what was going to be the bottom of my drum. I have 2 giveaways that I want to do this time, and I'm still waiting for Carla Rigel to get in touch with me for the Shakespeare's Peddler's Basket of Buzz. If I haven't heard from you by my next video, I will be drawing another name. So this time I went upstairs through my box of stuff that I know I am never going to get around to stitch. I think both of these are absolutely gorgeous patterns. The first one is a Glendon Place. This is Pretty Pumpkins, GP 112. So if you are interested in this one, use the word pumpkins in your comment. Don't say giveaway. Be a subscriber. Be over 18 so you can give me your address. I ship international. The other one, I think this is absolutely gorgeous. This is from the Victoria sampler. It's called Stitchin' Witches. And I think it's beautiful. It's more like a sampler. There is an alphabet in there. But you could stitch any one of these 3 images just by themselves. And it's absolutely, absolutely gorgeous. So this one, Stitchin'. S-T-I-T-C-H-I-N. Don't add that G. It could cost you a pattern. So both of those I will be giving away on my next video. If you're interested, please leave a comment below. Like I said, please be a subscriber. Be over the age of 18. I ship international. Don't say giveaway. Blah, 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 blah. All right. We're all tired of COVID. We're all tired of staying home and self-isolating. And while we're getting vaccines, and both Mark and I have had our second vaccines, it's not time to rush out and be social again. And the reason I know this is because COVID hit home for me. A week ago Sunday, my daughter Erin, who is 41 years old, she is a nurse, she works from home, she's a triage nurse, so she does all the phone stuff. She went out with some of her friends for St. Patrick's Day. She came over and visited with me on Sunday. And then Wednesday, I got a call from her. She has tested positive for COVID. Thursday night when she went to bed, she started shivering to the point where she finally got up and went and took a hot shower just to warm up. When she went back to bed and fell asleep, she woke up the next morning. Her bed was completely soaked with sweat. She called her office, told them what was going on. They did a rapid test on her. She tested positive. No one else in the house has any symptoms, so that's really, really good. Thursday, she lost her sense of smell, sense of taste, and my mom brain kind of went into, oh my God, overload, because I have lost a daughter, and I am now panicking in my brain, which I couldn't get to shut off Thursday night, because now my second daughter is sick. I lost my mom when she was in her 40s. And my 40s, the early 40s, was really tough for me because I lost my mom when she was in her early 40s. So Thursday night, my brain was just not going to shut off, and every worst case scenario I could think of made for no sleep for me. My daughter is doing better. But it was a slap in the face reminder that even though people are getting vaccinations, we're not ready yet to start socializing the way that we did before COVID. So please, please, this is the mom and me speaking out to all of you. If you have to go out, wear your mask. Please wear it over your nose, because that pisses me off. There's no purpose for wearing it with your nose stuck out. Somebody referred to it as dick nose, and I agree with that. please wash your hands. Please don't jump the gun and go out socializing. I know we all want to, and places are opening up, but please be careful. If you can get your vaccinations, get your vaccinations. We can make it through this. We just have to give it a little bit more time. So, on that note, until we meet again, my friends, live long and stitch on. Bye-bye.